Part 8. We will now proceed to show that the difficulty of the early thinkers, as well as our own, is solved in this way alone. The first of those who studied science were misled in their search for truth and the nature of things by their inexperience, which, as it were, thrust them into another path. So they say that none of the things that are either comes to be or passes out of existence, because what comes to be must do so either from what is or from what is not, both of which are impossible. For what is cannot come to be, because it is already, and from what is not, nothing could have come to be, because something must be present as a substratum. So too they exaggerated the consequence of this, and went so far as to deny even the existence of a plurality of things, maintaining that only being itself is. Such then was their opinion, and such the reason for its adoption. Our explanation, on the other hand, is that the phrases "something comes to be from what is or from what is not or what is does something or has something done to it or becomes some particular thing," are to be taken, in the first way of putting our explanation, in the same sense as a doctor does something or has something done to him, is or becomes something from being a doctor. These expressions may be taken in two senses, and so too clearly may from being, and being acts or is acted on. A doctor builds a house, not a qua doctor, but qua house builder, and turns gray, not qua doctor, but qua dark-haired. On the other hand, he doctors or fails to doctor qua doctor. But we are using words most appropriately when we say that a doctor does something or undergoes something or becomes something from being a doctor, if he does, undergoes, or becomes qua doctor. Clearly, then, also, to come to be so-and-so from not being means qua not being. It was through failure to make this distinction that those thinkers gave the matter up, and through this error that they went so much farther astray as to suppose that nothing else comes to be or exists apart from being itself, thus doing away with all becoming. We ourselves are in agreement with them in holding that nothing can be said without qualification to come from what is not. But nevertheless, we maintain that a thing may come to be from what is not, that is, in a qualified sense. For a thing comes to be from the privation, which in its own nature is not being, this not surviving as a constituent of the result. Yet this causes surprise, and it is thought impossible that something should come to be in the way described from what is not. In the same way, we maintain that nothing comes to be from being, and that being does not come to be except in a qualified sense. In that way, however, it does, just as an animal might come to be from animal, and an animal of a certain kind from an animal of a certain kind. Thus, suppose a dog to come to be from a horse. A dog would then, it is true, come to be from animal, as well as from an animal of a certain kind, but not as animal, for that is already there. But if anything is to become an animal, not in a qualified sense, it will not be from animal. And if being, not from being, nor from not being either, for it has been explained that by from not being we mean from not being qua not being. Note further that we do not subvert the principle that everything either is or is not. This, then, is one way of solving the difficulty. Another consists in pointing out that the same things can be explained in terms of potentiality and actuality, but this has been done with greater precision elsewhere. So, as we said, the difficulties which constrain people to deny the existence of some of the things we mentioned are now solved. For it was this reason which also caused some of the earlier thinkers to turn so far aside from the road which leads to coming to be and passing away and change generally. If they had come in sight of this nature, all their ignorance would have been dispelled.